Howdy, Sergei DRATCHEV here. This video is about photography. And I thought I was done with Nikon. I tried all of the cameras and I love Nikon. I like the quality of the picture. But the last one I had was D500 and I was doing some wildlife photography. I went to now it's April 2018. In December, late December, I went to Florida and spent a couple of weeks there, and I did some wildlife shots. I tried the D500 with 200 to 500 Nikon, and then I tried Sigma 150 to 600, and I even tried the Tamron 150 to 600. And out of these three, I would say Tamron was the worst. In my experience, Sigma was pretty much the same as Nikon, 200 to 500, but it's, you know, I don't know, 50% cheaper. But it was a good combo. But, you know, a little bit big. And D500, of course, offers you a level of customization not available on, let's say, a cheaper but newer D7500. And it has a better autofocusing system. But, you know, how much focusing points do you need, you know, really? Some people are still buying D800, and I just watched a video on YouTube. A guy bought used D3, you know, and they have the same, like 51 focusing points. And so I ordered, actually, I decided to try Sony. I waited because there were some complaints and people were saying they're not, you know, the battery life was pretty bad, right? But Sony has great sensors, right? And Nikon actually uses Sony sensors in a lot of their cameras. And I wanted, because I carry my camera with me all the time, like whenever I travel or in my truck, because of my day job, I'm a long haul trucker doing heavy haul. And I need something light. And so that D500 was getting heavy, especially with a big lens. And so the Sony came out, A7III, and I look at the specs, and my God, you know, it's only a couple of $100 more than the 4 years old now D750, which has a very flimsy design. There's constant recalls, something breaks, you know, the shutter is like no good over there. And I had that camera. It's just, it's really, you hold it, and it doesn't feel like a professional camera. Like even that screen in the back, the way they, I don't know, it was like a rushed, you know, what they say, rushed to market, you know. But then I read the specs of the Sony, and it like makes a lot of sense, you know. Phase detection, contrast detection, you know, a whole bunch of focusing points, and it's small and light, good battery life, right? They finally started putting big batteries in there. And so why not? The only weak point was the lenses, right? But now Sigma announced E-mount lenses for this camera. Like, the situation improves. And so I ordered that camera March 25th. And sorry, I'm wearing gloves because I'm sitting at the river. I just went and did a test of my new camera, but more about that in a second. So March 25th, I ordered a Sony A7III. It's $2,000 US. I'm in Canada. It was $25.95 Canadian. And they say arrival time April 10. Okay, I can deal with that because I thought I didn't have enough money. I thought, you know, in 2-3 weeks I'll get enough. And Amazon does not charge your credit card until it's shipped, right? And first it was April 10th, then it was delayed to April 17th. April 17th rolls by, nothing happens. I get a new message, says, delayed, expected delivery May 5th-25th. And the funny thing is that I was so convinced I was getting the Sony. You know, I watched a bunch of videos about this, and about the Sony best lenses, and there's a couple of, you know, wedding photographers on the web. They just swear by these Sony A7, A9, you know. And I started researching lenses, and I decided, since I want something light, you know, I just do, you know, general photography, street photography, some landscapes, trucking photography, basically automotive photography, where I take pictures of my truck with a load, and I do some big machinery. You know, people love to see that stuff, like, you know, big truck with a lowboy trailer, some humongous wheel loader on the deck. And so I ordered Sony 28mm f2, and that one was 600 something Canadian. And I found Gentek. Gentek is the Sony dealer here, at least in Ontario, Canada. And I was, you know, sure that I was getting the Sony camera, right? So I thought it's coming on 17th. And so I got this lens. And then I got that message saying that, you know, the camera is delayed. And I can't, somebody said you can cancel the order and reorder and you will get it faster. And so I canceled the order and I tried to place the same order. It's Amazon Canada, and it says again, like 1 to 2 months, like even worse, 1 or 2 months delivery. I go to B&H Photo in New York City, same deal, you know, like expected May 5th or something. I go to Amazon US, Amazon.com, same deal. So, and I said, you know what, it's too much marketing hype. So I went to Gentek website. I said, I want to return this lens. And it arrived at my UPS store. And by that time I already had authorization. I didn't even unpack the box. I just slapped the new return, you know, address with authorization number on it, and we sent it back to Gentek. And then I went online and I got this. So now I'm back with Nikon, and because I want something light and small, I went with a crop sensor camera, and this is the D7500. I love this camera. I had it before. The same sensor is on the D500, but they tweaked something, and according to DxOMark, this camera has a better low light sensitivity than D500. You know, like I think it was the ISO was up to like 1400 something, where you can still get good results, whereas with D500 it was about 100 units less, you know, it was like 1300 something. But anyway, so it's better in low light, you know, just a little bit, but that's good. And it's lighter, it's smaller, it's $1,000 cheaper over here. In Canada it's $1,600 for the body. And I decided to get a cheaper camera but expensive glass. And so this is a 24mm Nikon f1.8, and you can tell by this gold ring that it's a premium lens with nano coating. And so this becomes a 35mm. So I think it's a perfect combo, you know, like a small camera with a 35mm effective lens. There's no image stabilization, but there is some electronic inside the camera, and this camera can do 8 frames a second, not 10 like D500, but you know, I tried both, even for wildlife. Even 10, even 8 is too much. Like I was getting 2 shots at one, you know. I pushed the trying to take 1 shot. If it's set to 8 frames a second, you get 2 shots of the same stuff, you know. So I think for my purposes, this is more than enough. And the sensor is beautiful, like the way it draws the image. I love it. I shoot in Vivid +1, kind of like custom Vivid, you know. I just added +1, so there's a little bit more contrast, a little bit more saturation. So 51 focusing points, more than enough. It shoots 4K video. And now I'm sitting at we have a small river here. It's kind of like, it's called Old Mill area. There used to be a mill down there. Now it's closed, and I think they're remodeling it into apartments. So sorry, the picture keeps changing because the sun is setting behind me, and that's why I stopped shooting. So I went to the river, and I took some pictures of the old bridge, I think it's even closed, railroad bridge. And there's so much water because it's spring, right? So the snow was melting and there's a lot of water. and I think I took some great shots, and here's some of them. And then tomorrow, Saturday, I know I can get a cheap parking. It's only like $9 Canadian downtown in Toronto. So I want to go with this perfect setup for street photography, right? So effective 35 millimeters. And I want to go, and tomorrow is going to be warm finally. And I'm going to do some street photography, maybe some architectural photography, you know, find some cool buildings, maybe walk around the railroad terminal over there, and that will be the second part of the test. But so far, from what I've seen on the back of the camera, I'm really happy with the colors, with the sharpness. I didn't even bother checking the sharpness of the lens, because one of the good things about this one and D500 is that they come with for the first time, these two cameras, 500 and 7500, they come with auto AF tune, you know, so you can tune the sharpness of the particular lens, and then you can save it in the camera. And that's my new toy, you know, my new camera. So there's just one dial, right? But the screen in the back, it tilts, and actually this design is much more robust than on D750, and especially for street photography, I love this, you know, like I was, you know, just sitting down like near the, let's say, the crossing with the sidewalk, you know, and I'm putting this down like this, right, and I'm looking as if I'm checking my images or something, and then as people are walking, crossing the street, and I can do this. Of course, this is a touch screen, and it has the, in live view, you can focus by touching, right? And so I just can touch and take picture, you know, like this is, of course, it would be better if the screen was, it was going this way, like a fully flip screen. Like it would be great for video, you know, like for YouTube, right? Then you can see yourself. But I'm not using it for video, mostly it's for photography. But I did try to take a 4K image of that water near the dam. And so here's the shots I took so far, just a few shots, and here's you'll see a video of the river. And then tomorrow I'll do another video about street photography in Toronto. So, and that's my new Nikon D7500 and Nikon 24mm 1.8 lens. Here's the images.